Okay, bit of a longer wait time this time. Apologies to anyone who is here waiting, though I don't know if anyone is. Okay. So I guess it's been a minute. We had a break and then a chapter and then another break. Um, and here we are. So what have I been doing the past couple months since chapter 39? Um, Nothing too big. Work's been easy. We're about to go into a ramp season, but that's like next month or end of next month. So it's been chill. I have one of our newer team members who I've sort of been training in a lot of the stuff I do, and that's been interesting. Um, and I've been playing. I've been doing this thing I call Short Game Fest, where I've gotten together a collection of 13 short games that I own. And what I'm trying to do is play one and then play like two or three missions of Cyberpunk 2077 and then play another one because I'm trying to finish Cyberpunk. But Doom the Dark Ages DLC, which is really cool, got in the way of that. And now I'm kind of beating that and doing some other things. Playing a lot of Star Wars Droid Tycoon, which is a Fortnite mode. It's kind of an idle game where you get Star Wars droids together, so like R2D2, and there's a lot. There's a lot of them. Ton of different random types. Some I know, some I don't. Um, and they make you money passively, and then there's things you can do actively to get money from them as well. And I've been playing a ton of that. You need to check in on that, like at least if you're gonna maximize your stuff, like at least every 8 hours, you need to check in on it, which is not so bad compared to some games. And I've been playing Fate Grand Order, which I always am. It's like the only gacha game I really play. And then I've been reading a lot of manga. I was reading a lot of Baki the Grappler, which I probably talked about. And then within this during this last break, I finally got back into Doro Hedoro, which was a manga that I started reading such a long time ago, like ridiculously long, like probably like 2013, 2014, and then I read 7 volumes and I just kind of stopped. And that was before the anime came out, and the anime is ongoing. It's probably one of the animes that has premiered like longer after the corresponding manga ended. The manga's been over for a long time now. The anime's still going. Third season is coming soon. I finally got back into that, and that's a really fun manga. Very unique. And I've kind of stopped reading Baki so I can read that. And I've been trying to read more real books as well, but the issue with that is that after every time I finish a book, I try to read a chapter of one of my nonfiction books, and my brain just doesn't, really does not want me to do that. Um, so there's it's been a while until I finished the last book I finished, which was Children of the Mind, which is the last book of the Ender Saga by Orson Scott Card, which is pretty good. Not as good as the other ones though. But yeah, I've been doing that. There's also been a lot of TV to watch. House of the Dragon is back, and I'm probably going to watch the new episode of that after I finish this stream. And then there's been X-Men 97 is back. Widow's Bay on Apple TV finished. And that was good. A little overrated, but good. Um, and then I'm trying to finally finish Doom Patrol as well on HBO Max. So that's it. That's what I've been up to pop culture wise. Obviously, biggest pop culture thing going on right now is the release of the Odyssey, which I have tickets for. I was lucky enough to like a week and a half ago, maybe I checked and there was like a couple good seats left in an IMAX showing tomorrow at 6. The IMAX showings are like all completely booked now. The movie is huge. It's going to be huge this weekend. By this point, if you're not too familiar with like movie box office, by this point on Sunday, earlier, by like almost by the end of Saturday, you can have basically 100% correct estimates of how a movie is going to do at the box office. Whoever tabulates these things you can get it right by then, even if Sunday has not happened yet for the weekend. So you can determine the weekend box office, and we know at this point it's going to be extremely good. This movie is opening higher than some or all of Nolan's Batman trilogy, which is crazy. There's been a lot of online discourse over the movie, and I kind of had a feeling that in this case it would not affect the movie. Sometimes you really feel the online discourse does affect the movie. Wuthering Heights was maybe kind of an example of that, where that was a movie that was poised in advertising to be a big movie. They really wanted that to be a success, but it seemed like a lot of the fans of that were not into it. A lot of the fans of the book, and the online hate towards that movie did affect it negatively. But the Odyssey is resistant, which is kind of what I expected. Um, so that's what's going on. So, it's been a couple months, and after I finish the chapter, we're going to talk about my prediction. There's not much to talk about. The prediction's over. It was 8 months with several extensions due to breaks, if I recall. Probably maybe 3, 4 months extensions. And it's not, it's sad. It's not happening. We'll discuss that after the chapter, because I don't know how many people actually care about that. It was important enough to me to put it in the title. Um, so we are back with finally chapter 40 of Zatch Bell 2. And we have just seen Patty return and get revived. With seemingly heightened powers of the water dragon, as we've been told. Well, we've seen it. We saw her cast a spell and do a lot of damage to Bast and Day, who we are fighting. So we're starting, kind of surprisingly, with a flashback. The Demon World, 14 years ago. Belgum. I'm sure this is the right place. And he imagines kind of a nameplate on the house, I think, maybe, marking it as his house. But this isn't my house. He sees, looks like his mom getting home, coming back from getting food, and he's waving to her. It appears your mother has passed away about 531 years ago, said. I'm sorry for your loss. See your gravestone. I guess at some point while oh, this is Belgium. I guess at some point while I was turned to stone 1,000 years ago, I lost my mama and my home too. And he starts kind of yelling and crying. And the priest is very sad as well, listening to this. And he sleeps next to his mom's grave for at least one night. And it's daytime. What are you doing out here? Didn't I tell you that you should come stay at my place? And she grabs his hand, and Patty takes him to her stately mansion with a very nice kind of old-fashioned boat out front, which is interesting. You wonder if Patty's family has, obviously they have some kind of association with the water, right? Do they have a business in the water? We don't really know. There's also some stained glass on the house that it's hard to see exactly what it is. The question is kind of raised by reading the last scene. When does the Gash Cafe take place? Where Patty first tells Belgium that she would be his mom. And the answer is probably nowhere, really. We've talked before about how Gash Cafe is kind of both canon and not canon, but kind of mostly not canon. Because why would there be a giant cafe shaped like Zatch's head where the Momotos and their partners get reunited again before they're actually reunited in the story of Zatch Bell 2? And so, possibly she told him in the cafe he learns his mother is dead, and then she tells him she'll be his mom. And we see him kind of pretty much seem to first learn his mother is dead for the first time in this. And we don't see her tell him that she'll be his mom. That might have happened before he learned that his mom is dead here in the real timeline. So it doesn't really matter. For those of us who read the Zatch Cafe, it's a bit of an Easter egg. You kind of get the prior knowledge of what Patty told Belgium before it's elucidated fully here in Zatch Bell 2. Is it really okay for me to live here? Well, of course. I've already got your bedroom all set up and everything. And you're really going to be my new mama? You sound like a broken record, you know. Your mom died, so I'm sure you'd prefer another one instead of a friend, right? So that means I'm your mom from now on. And Belgium is this is the present time now because Belgium is crying. Despite we know Belgium suddenly does tend to suddenly bleed. This is not in the flashback when he's crying and bleeding. This is in the present time because he's in a bad way. He's injured. And Patty is standing in front of him. We get a full shot of her. I'm not sure. I don't remember if we got a full shot of her before. And like many of the characters in the sequel, her outfit is pretty much the same in the modern day, except she has this very distinct gauntlet and armor that is sort of comes along with this water dragon bracelet that we've been told about. Um, as this Dioga spell that Patty destroyed dissipates. So he actually got away with it. The king of scathing quips. I like that epithet. I forget what that. I know that was kind of a difficult to translate turn of phrase that you translated that way. I forget what the like direct translation is. Made sure that horse and Patty's book owner were tucked away somewhere, well out of sight. The moment he recovered Patty's spell vial, he gave that man the signal, and the horse bolted over here. The webcam. And the horse bolted over here at top speed. They revived Patty in this very room, or it might have happened just beyond that door. And I still win at this rate. Against her. Dum-dum. More flashback. I finally turned 13. Happy birthday, Patty. Yay, everyone's here. Yay. Patty's in a nice dress. Bianco's like her BFF is next to her pulling crackers. Zatch, Tia, and someone else over here on the right. There's someone else here. Who's that? Are here to celebrate. Happy birthday, Patty. Thanks, Dad. And now that you're 13, you'll be able to make a pact with the Water Dragon bracelet. Once the contract has been fulfilled, you will assert your rightful place as the head of the Valis family. Patty last name reveal. But the road to completing this pact will be long and fraught with hardship. Please do your best to tough it out. Take your time, dear. After all, it took your father 248 years to do the same. Now, why'd you have to go and tell her that? He's embarrassed. So this is yet another confirmation that most Sumamoto live like a really long time. They don't all live as long as the king, who lives like over 1,000 years. But we saw earlier, Belgium's mom died only about 500 years before the current battle, and it's actually interesting though. Come to think of it, 531. Okay. It's interesting that she died almost exactly like she died like 500 and what 15 years before the current story or something. It would be interesting if it was exactly 500, but it's not really. But yeah, and then her father did this after 248 years, and he's probably had that bracelet for a long time. So we know that Momoto, more confirmation that most Momoto live a really long time. So let's look at this party shot. We have some characters that we've seen here, Zatch and Patty and Bianco and Tia are all here. We have some characters who are kind of hard to parse. There's this woman with like angel wings on the left who doesn't look that familiar. And there's this lizard and this other girl on the right. And then we have a few characters who we haven't seen in the sequel yet, who are we're seeing from behind. And so we can pretty clearly see Kalulu, who Tia's talking to, and we saw her in the earlier shot. And then Layla and then Victorine are all there. Layla and Victorine being, from the same arc as Patty. And then Kalulu just being a friend of the gang. So it's cool to kind of get a hint at them. I'm sure we will see them, do more and be more important later. Bianco, I don't know. We see Bianco fully here, and he's just a little taller. I don't know how much when we're going to see Bianco. Um, but this lady on the right and the lizard, actually, that's a different lady that we see in this panel below, talking to, I think, a different lizard. Actually, it's a different dragon. There's a lot of guests at this party. Lower down the page. Present time, present time. Presents for Mama Patty. Miss Patty has truly grown into a fine young lady, hasn't she? Yes, I'm sure it won't be long before she finds a wonderful suitor as well. On that note, about how much longer do you suppose that Belgium child will be frequenting the manor? Any time we hold a social gathering here at the mansion, the guests can't help but frown with displeasure whenever they see him. Why must we be in the company of such a hideous creature, they ask. If you ask me, I think he's the sole blemish on this entire family. Surely there's a village somewhere filled with Belgium's own kind. Why can't he just cavort with them instead? I'm worried that if things don't change, even the nobleman who proposed to Miss Patty will be driven away in disgust. I'm not sure Patty would accept anyone's proposal but Zatch's, but maybe we'll see at some point. So Belgium still goes to the party despite hearing these scathing things, the scathing quips said about him. And he gives her a little version of his chair, which is really nice. The people at the party seem to be, pretty. They seem to be friendly to Belgium, so that's good, and her parents and all that. But Belgium is crying after what he heard. So later at the Mamoto World School, which is on top of this like massive thing with this big like energy ball, we've seen this a lot of times, and we saw pretty much every shot of the Mamoto World. In Zatch Bell 1 had this building on it, and it was in the movie, I think, right? It was in the first movie. That's where we first saw it. Hey, you in the chair. You're the same species as us, right? Finally, I get to meet you. You got a second to chat? This weird skeleton guy this skeleton kid comes up to Belgium. Definitely looks like he's the same species. So they're walking with some other people here. Three people on the right. There's one like like freaking Donkey Kong Country enemy Momoto here on the right who we can't see. That could be Arujo. This one with the angel wings. It looks a little more like him than the angel wing one at the party, but I don't think Arujo, the Millennium Momoto, have the little antenna. And then Bianco is also here with his clock. You know a village where people like me live? You really mean it? And Bianco's there too. Yeah, and I'd love for you to come join us. There's lots of work we gotta do there, and we need the extra bodies. If you ask me, we don't need to, for some reason we need to see a flashback of this again, even though we just saw it. I think he's the sole blemish of this entire family. I'm worried that if things don't change, even the nobleman who proposed to Miss Patty will be driven away in disgust. And so Belgium decides to leave the mansion and go to a group of his own clan in this weird kind of rundown building. I commend your arrival, fellow member of the Geem clan. So you got a lot of you got to look at a lot of the members of this clan. A lot of them are pretty freaky, all vaguely Egyptian themed, and since they're called the Geem clan, I'm guessing that they all have Geem in their names. But only a couple of them have chairs. They don't all have the chairs, but a couple of them do. So the chairs are a thing as well for his clan. Um, so has it been said at this point how many clans there are in the Moto world? Because I thought I remember reading when they're talking about clans with Ashron when they first go to the demon world after they save Tia. I thought I remember him saying there are 16 clans, but I might be misremembering because I somewhat doubt that now. If Belgium has his own specific clan, then I think there's probably a lot of clans. Um, we work as robbers for the most part, raiding jewelry vaults, plundering the homes of the wealthy, that sort of thing. This is a very like human world looking building, though it does have the stripes on top, which is I guess characteristic of this clan. Naturally, there are risks involved. Why did I pronounce it that way? Wow, that was something. But perform well, and you get to bask in the life of luxury. So upon hearing this, Belgium remembers. Hey, Mama, why don't I have a papa? Papa was a very bad man, so we're not living together anymore. We get a good look at his mom, who looks a lot like him, a little less ugly with pigtails. I really want you to grow up to be a good person, EO, and I just don't think that could ever happen as long as Papa is around. That's why Papa isn't here with us. So clearly his dad was one of the bad guys in this clan. I like that, just thinking of this scene as he meets his clan and we're like, sorry to disappoint you, Belgium, but we are actually evil. We didn't know, you didn't see it coming, but we are in fact evil. So back to the present, or back to the present of the flashback. You were one of the candidates chosen to become king 1,000 years ago, so you must be crazy strong, right? Whether it's security guards or the magic armed forces. Magic armed forces, interesting thing to hear about. I don't know if we've specifically heard that before. Just go ahead and slaughter everyone in sight. No way, I'm out. I gotta get out of here. He turns around to leave, but he's blocked. You're not getting away that easily. This clan leader with the eyes, two big eyes on the sides of his head and the snake for an arm. Even if you do manage to give us the slip, we'll hunt you down every day for the rest of your miserable life. I'm sure that won't be very convenient for any other poor souls you dwell with. Now would it? So they seem to know that he lives with Patty. But that means I can never go back there. I want to go back so badly, but he remembers eating with Patty and her family and gardening with Patty. There's nowhere left for you to run. I must never go home. He doesn't want to put Patty in danger. You belong with us now. Ebo! Boom. So clearly, Bianco told Patty what was going on, that Belgium was leaving, and she rushed here to find him. What are you doing in a dump like this? I'm taking you home right now. Magic Armed Forces is a brand new term. Yeah, okay, that's interesting. So there might be a specific organization that we'll see. I have a feeling if that organization is associated with anyone, it would be associated with I would say maybe Arthur Zeno would be my guess. That we'll maybe see them at the same time as we see one of those two characters. Did we see Arth? Have we seen that Arth got defeated? I don't remember. We haven't really seen Ellie yet, though people did think Fern might be Ellie. Okay. The Vallis family heir. You've got a sharp tongue, don't you? Sorry, but you'll just have to run along home by yourself. Belgium EO is part of our family now. And we won't give him up without a fight. You were also one of the chosen candidates for the throne, just like him, isn't that right? I bet you must have some powerful spells at your disposal. Oh, hold on. But everyone knows that the Shin-class spell you conjured up during the battle with Clear was nothing more than a one-time deal. So it's kind of interesting that they know that, to me. They know so specifically not only about Clearnote, but also about this battle with him and the triggering of the Golden Book and the fact that Zatch got a lot of spells from his allies. And I mean, I guess the possible implication is that, everyone in the demon world was a spirit during the Momoto battle, or at least during the end of it. I think probably during the whole thing. And they were all witnessing this. They were all able to see this. So they saw the Shin Sogaiku during that fight. You're not the only one who can wield advanced magic. We have access to a wide array of spells, honed through years of intense training, and of course the spells we see them end up using are just big attacks. Not exactly a wide array. I'll show you firsthand just how horrifying we grown-ups can be. So this scares Patty quite a bit, but I have a feeling, or I had a feeling when I first read this, that she's not going to run away. Stop! Don't you lay a hand on my mama! Silence, you cur! Boom, they knock over the chair and take him out. Run, mama! I'm gonna be one of their kids now, okay? So please just run away while you still can. Shut it, Ebo. I'm not going to abandon my child. No. That abandoned my child. Whenever you read that, you have to think of There Will Be Blood if you've seen that movie. Famous sequence from that movie where he talks about abandoning his child. Um, you're my kid, and that's never gonna change. So why should I ever hand you over to filthy scumbags like them? You're coming home right now, even if I have to drag you back myself. You hear me, Ebo? This makes Belgium very emotional knowing that she's not gonna leave, even when she's in danger. You've got a lot of spunk and no brains at all. I'll beat you to a pulp and send you back to your family in tatters. So this immediately, when I read this, triggered a very funny memory for me of the old Zatch Bell CCG forums, where I described Patty as spunky, which would be an accurate descriptor for her, as we see from your translation here. And then that word was censored on the forums, and at that point, I didn't know why. I was only like 13. I didn't know why that word would be censored. I know now because there's similar to Zatch's own Japanese name. There is another kind of slang word that is very similar that can be used to mean something inappropriate. But in both of these cases, they're fine. But it was very funny to see that word. Yeah, here made me remember that. So they cast some spells here. Diogo Ryusudan, Negu Rogu Sudan. So clearly the spell on the left, I mean we can see it that this one's coming from the leader, the snake guy. It's coming out of his snake hand. It's a snake with Belgium heads around and inside it. Similar to the new spell we saw Belgium cast before. And then the Diogo Ryusudan probably coming from somebody else. It's not coming from Belgium. He's not casting it towards them. It's I think one of these guys who knows the same spell who is trying to hurt them. I don't know what Negu Roguo. That doesn't sound familiar to me. Obviously, Negu would make you think of like negativity, but you would think if it's a snake spell that it might have the spells that the Snake Momoto had during the Fado arc, like the Gunubio type spells. That guy. What's his name? Jadoon, I think was that guy's name, right? Alright, Ebo, let's get you home. Suo! And when she makes this choice to stand and fight, even though she would likely, almost certainly lose against these two Diogo class spells. The leader actually did cast two spells simultaneously. Oh, okay. Interesting. I didn't consider that. Maybe that's something I might be able to do. And so something happens when she decides to stand like this. I am most pleased. This huge creature comes out of the bracelet and demolishes these two spells. Cuts right through them. I am known as Suo Nadea, the water dragon who treads alongside the Valis bloodline. Patty Valis, from this moment on, I have chosen you to be my new master. And you can see this kind of armor materialize on her arm as she hears this. My power is now yours to do with as you will. You may use it to your heart's content. So, through this act of bravery, Patty has unlocked the Water Dragon's power a lot faster than her dad did. We get a good look at the full Water Dragon, Suo Nadea, who I believe looks pretty much like Suo Gaiku, the spell, but with more detail. More spikes around the mouth, more fins. And, this is really interesting. Right, we've heard a little bit about the Thunder Dragon up to now. We heard the Water Dragon described previously when talking about Patty in the previous chapters. But now we're seeing it physically, and we're seeing it talk. And I want to say this is the first time, depending on, we don't fully know about these like spell beings, these like living like gods in the Momoto world. But you could possibly consider this like the first time we've heard one speak. possibly since Shin Korea near the end of the first series, if you consider him to be on the same level. I don't remember if we've maybe heard the Thunder Dragon say a couple of things when it's like that materializes the eye and looks at Kyo and Zatch. Um, we might have. I kind of don't remember that. Yeah, there is some hairy looking stuff on the face, which is bizarre, assuming that Suo Nadea would be female, but maybe not. Um, but it really seems, and we're going to see this a little later in the chapter, that these gods, these beings of the Momoto world, uh, might possibly become a very big focus of this sequel. Right, the Thunder Dragon did maybe say a couple things. Okay, so the first time still happened very few times in the series. We've heard one of these things speak. Um, and we'll discuss that after the chapter about these gods. So Patty's new armor shines, and she doesn't even really need to cast a spell here. Oh, I'm sorry, she does, because this is the present time now. These cuts are kind of confusing. Uh, so we're seeing the present time Uluru. Suokurakuru! Boom! Massive fist appears, dragon arm appears above Patty, and heads towards the bad guys here. Bast and Day, Bast with the injured arm. Oh, great! So Bast's sword splits in half for some reason. We haven't seen that before. And we don't see what exactly he plans to do with that, as far as I can see it. So that's interesting. Maybe a hint for something later. Day Orudamu Garudo! Pretty basic shield. It is interesting. The shield kind of comes out and like weird materializes from these like strings from the armor. And the dragon arm with the fins, it just kind of decimates these. Pretty much destroys Day's construct. Bast is, you can see him at the bottom there. They don't really stand a chance. They're laid out on the floor. I wonder if Raikou meant for the spell to be Suokuro Akuru instead of Kuokuru, right? Because Kuro is the nomenclature for Bao's claw spell. Yes, so I was, going to mention that. Obviously, Bao's Karaga has a very similar claw spell. Bao Kuro, was it Disgurugu or Disgurg, or however you want to say it? So that would make sense because, we kind of have all, if this was Kuro, we then kind of have all three parts of the spell, right? Suo is the dragon, Kuro is for claw, and it kind of sounds like claw, and then Akuru, which is for water. What was that? Since when was that spell inside the vial? Are you telling me it just appeared out of thin air when her book owner showed up? I know that Vesmeratio pilfered the core of the Suo spell. Does that mean the limbs of the dragon can still branch out as different spells? That's pretty terrifying. So this is another really interesting tidbit about these spell gods. It seems like having the favor of one can basically allow you to unlock a whole bunch of spells at once. That's kind of how I'm reading it. It's not exactly what she says, but even though Patty should technically have very few spells, she should only have the one she got back from her spell vial. She's able to use either just the all of the parts of the dragon, maybe aside from the core, whatever that exactly means, whether that maybe is the base Sogaiku spell, maybe she's not able to use that, or maybe she is able to use that. We don't entirely know what the core of the Suo spell exactly means, but that's a very interesting tidbit as well. We're seeing in this chapter that Raikou and maybe his assistants, or, I don't really know if they discuss lore, if he discusses lore with them, or if that's all, kind of Raikou himself, but they've presumably thought about this more than we maybe think they have up to this point. There's an internal logic there on how all this is done. And Patty being granted power. It's almost like her aura is manifesting as that enraged dragon. I think Beth's saying that. They could be saying that too. I'm not entirely sure. The bubble is on the right side. So the hand is the only thing that's really there, but they can sort of see in their mind's eye this aura that is the full dragon. Day, and he doesn't even say anything. He just points at his head. Oni does this, and Day understands. My head is killing me. I'm at my limit here. Ah, he must still be sore from that backdrop maneuver. Go Tia, right? She heard him with that. If even Bass is calling it quits, then he must be in really bad shape. Yeah, he's taken some hits from the Zakar Javelin and from this spell and from Tia. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that she's counting the people in total, though it's kind of more like really five Momoto, right? Tia, Belgum, Patty, Zatch, Ponygon. If it's 10 against 2, I doubt that would warrant a penalty for us, from Belial, obviously she means. Let's snag as many vials as we can and get the heck out of here. Bast, make sure you don't forget the egg. Got it. That egg, those are not holes in the side. I know there was some discussion on the Discord, and like, it's not it's not a big deal, right? There are not holes in the side of this. The tiny holes there are in the cross. There aren't holes in the side of this egg. On the sides, they're circles. They're just circles. So they someone in a somewhat silly way slice through this wall. Boom, jump out. That's got the egg in his mouth. All right, looks like the coast is clear. Fogio. So they're finally able to heal Belgium fully. Definitely seems to work on him quite a bit. Good. Now that we're not under enemy fire, I can pace myself and heal him properly. We made it just in time. Yeah, I mean, Zatch Bell Gamer says fans were pointing out that it's bizarre how the egg was just tossed aside and left in the crossfire for the whole fight. Yeah, it is weird considering kind of how seemingly important we seem to see that it is the chapter, but I'm guessing it was like tough. That's what you said. You just said that. So yeah, I guess that's kind of it. But yeah, if it's so important, you think they would have kept it on their person or in a case or something. There we go. Glance. Gaschan! Of course, she leaps at Zatch with hearts in her eyes. We did not really know until now whether she would still be in love with Zatch in the present time, but it definitely seems like she is. Maybe in a healthier way. Patty, long time no see. She's trying to kiss you. So I take it you're the one who. Oh, she's saying this. So I take it you're the one who brought me back to life, right? I'm so happy. So they're both like really trying, like really hard. She's trying really hard to get closer to him, possibly really to kiss him. She's got her hand on the back of his head, and he's like really struggling to push her back, and they're exerting a lot of effort. This is like very Raikou to like just have it be like so intense in this way. It was all Kiyomaru's idea, and lots of other people help make it happen too. Huh? You're here too, Kiyomaru? You're stronger than ever, Patty. I can't thank you enough for scaring those two off. Hey, I'm the one who should be thanking you for dropping everything to come help us when the demon world was in danger. So that's another very Raikou thing, to just like do the comedy and then go like, all right, comedy's over. they're just talking normally now. The comedy's done. Thank you. I hope you liked it. We have Uluru here with his cool little necklace thing. Patty's happy to see him. Uluru, what's with that beard all of a sudden? Aren't you still too young to be looking like someone's tired old uncle? Did you at least find yourself a decent job? Yeah, I work as a chef at a hotel restaurant now. And you, Patty, I can see you've grown into quite the lovely princess. So he's happy to see her, and she's happy to see him, despite, the way she treats him, which is similar to how she's always treated him. His weird blank eyes that he has. So there, she grabs his hands. Nice moment. Ponygon's here. Meanwhile, speaking of Ponygon, let's have him play this this dragon guy here. Ponygon, poor Ponygon never gets to do anything. At least never gets to do anything major. From the left hand. Ban Ramus Shiburos. Rorudo Zarado Runodo Sutavuro Su Fifuzu Vera Asteras Bamfro. The webcam doesn't know what to do when I have my hand in front like this. Flash. Ding, 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 ding. These things light up on this door and makes the Momoto World symbol that we've seen, which we still don't really know what it means, but maybe we will learn at some point. And yeah, as Zatch Bell Gamer says, this might be or is. I haven't gone back to look at what exactly that guy looked like, but it certainly does look like the sort of dragon Momoto who declared Zatch the king at his coronation. So presumably a very high up figure, a powerful guy in the Momoto world, sort of a cleric of sorts, who would know these magic words and possibly not many other people would. And this is potentially like another big lore thing. We're getting these symbols lighting up. We see most of them. And the symbol in the middle is that I call it the hourglass symbol because it vaguely looks like an hourglass with the 5 circles around the 2 triangles. And then we can also see a lot of normal shapes. We don't know if these represent anything, what they do. We see on the left what looks like a sun, on the right what looks like a star, which is almost covered by him. And then the big symbol lights up with magic Mamoto World text over this big door that has many tiers. It's like the Zoldyck door from Hunter x Hunter, which is back, by the way. That's been good recently. So this is once again interesting, possibly important, kind of hint stuff, possibly not. He looks exactly like him. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So it probably is the exact same guy. That's pretty neat to see this guy again. And he has what really looks just like a Mamoto spellbook as well, just fancier. So that's also really interesting. We are 1 word away from opening this door. But please, I urge you to reconsider. We are about to set foot on forbidden ground, and we've no way of knowing what unspeakable catastrophe may befall us. A catastrophe. Oh, sorry, not Belial. A catastrophe, you say? Don't play the fool. You know more than you'd like me to believe. So it's Belial. He's here, probably teleported here. Seems to be his main power. Open it. As I said from the start, defy my order and I'll massacre every demon you see before you. This is no idle threat. It's precisely why I dragged along your family, disciples, and anyone else that has meaning to you. So we see the vampire Zabrit from the last chapter, who can make this rapier sword from his hand, and the lady Zabrit, I forget what her name is, holding these people hostage. Probably some human type Mamoto, like the people they killed last time. And then several dragon type Mamoto who are probably related to this cleric guy. This lady here even has the same tail as him. He looks at them, shaking. He looks at this woman and the baby she's holding. They're both crying. Rodan. Dun, 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 dun. This door opens. It's like teeth on either side of it. And it opens into this huge chamber. This looks like something out of Animal Land. That's just a cave on the top with light coming down into it. But right in front of them is this sort of like force field or barrier with these circles like projecting it. And then beyond that are these like ornate stone constructions surrounding in a circle with all this magical text on them. It looks like magical runes surrounding this mass of like snakes or dragon tails or something. It looks like a living thing that all go inside this energy orb at the center. Spooky. Would be cool to see this in color. Huh. Could the legend be true? One of the fabled Izanami of the demon world. Bamfro Naga. Very interesting. We see Belial's eye again here. Bast, I'll be taking that off your hands. And Bast is smoking a cigarette as this egg disappears. Shall we? I'm well aware that only you and those in contact can cross this sacred border. Puts his hand on this guy's head. And they pass through the shield. It's a bit like the shield that almost killed Barry in the photo arc. There is still one more person who is permitted to enter this chamber, and he has already found his way inside of Bamfro Castle. This is the dragon guy, I think, who's speaking. Given the current state of his power, this may prove to be a fatal blunder. But I'm left with no other choice. You call him Zatch weak? I must invoke one of the king's privileges and summon the king of the demon world to this location. And Zatch begins glowing in front of Megumi. Nice of them to include Megumi in a major shot. And Kyo, who is pointing at him, presumably explaining something to him. They're just chatting. Or maybe Kyo's pointing out that he's shining. And he starts shining as he is about to teleport to this location. And there we end Zatch Bell 2, Chapter 40. Kind of a milestone chapter, having 40 chapters. 50 is obviously the real milestone. So, definitely kind of a cliffhanger ending. We have no idea what's going to happen next. Yeah, I would definitely expect a Gash Cafe with Bassenday probably in the next volume. And then we have the usual ads for stuff on the store. A lot of cool stuff. The 20th anniversary fair that is going to be at Animate. And I believe this will be, there's going to be like one or two American Animate stores that are going to have some of this merch physically. I recall seeing, I haven't checked the Twitter since we first saw the tweets. But that's super cool that if you live in like LA, I think, we'll be able to go to this store and get the Zatch Bell merch, and maybe it'll be easy for us to get online if it's available in America as well. Yes, I would agree that I think he is talking about Zatch. He doesn't want to call Zatch weak, but he knows that Zatch is relatively low on spell power, especially he's depending on how much he can sense these things. Zatch just did a fight. He's really very low on spell power. So there's some calendars that are going to be at the Lawson stores in Japan. Hooray. You can copy them at the copiers. Weird. New products in the Mochinoki web store, the official web store. Stickers and manga panels. Some of those are in color. And the usual stuff for the scantillation. Thank you, Zatch Bell Gamer. And everyone who works on these scans. Have our usual why these names page. And you can go through this. There's not too much here that I think is, the most important thing is Bamfro Naga, really. Where it's, interesting that Bamfro Naga seems to very specifically take its name from a type of snake monster called the Naga. If you've played enough like JRPGs and things, I'm sure you will have fought these things. There's Lamias is one type of snake monster, and then the Naga is like another type. So that's kind of interesting. And there's going to be a lot to discuss with Bamfro Naga. But that ends the chapter. So, yeah, there's a lot. This is the most discussion-heavy chapter we've had in a while since we started this fight. A lot to say. And we're already almost an hour in. My voice is already kind of going, so I'm not entirely sure how much longer I'm going to do this, but I'll try to get through everything I have to say. To start from the end of what we just saw, pretty surprising scene here. of, suddenly we're being not only being introduced to like this powerful, terrifying Momoto world monster who might be on the same level as these gods, like Suonadea and the Thunder Dragon, but might be evil, uh, called the Izanami of the demon world, which is a very interesting reference. Funny that Belial would just say that, but I think it helps the readers, to Japanese readers especially, that word is carries with it a lot of understanding. Um, Izanami, from what I've read, and if you've read enough anime and manga, you will have heard about Izanami a lot of times. Um, is sort of a progenitor god of Japan. I think she has like a husband named Izanagi, and they're kind of often mentioned together. Um, and you know, so that could be big if this is a progenitor god of the Momoto world. I mean, this could be someone who is behind one of the central tenets of this world. What does that mean, right? You know, um, if Belial was to control this thing or to kill it, I mean, that could be really bad for our heroes. But then the monster also sounds, and from what we kind of see of the chamber, it's like a little scary to us. So even though it kind of seems like Belial is sort of opposed to it, I mean, I would guess he's going to try to capture it, maybe in the egg that he got from Bast. Um, it doesn't really seem like it would be exactly friendly to our heroes just because it's from the Momoto world. So that's super interesting. We got a double dose of like Momoto god stuff in this chapter. So like I said, this could easily, with knowing what we know about the Thunder Dragon, become like a really big part of this sequel. And that brings to mind, if Shin Korea is one of those gods, could Shin Korea have a further role in the sequel, even though I would guess that White does not really have any contact with it any longer. Um, it makes you wonder, is there a hierarchy to these things? Where does the Thunder Dragon sit in power next to the Water Dragon? Where does Elder Mirage, who we saw being like a god living in the sky, but seeming not really to be a god, where does he stand in power compared to them? There's a lot of questions, that you could have. It's a lot of interesting stuff that hopefully they'll cover. It seems really interesting. And we see, like, are these gods the source of all Momoto spells, all Momoto magic? Does every spell have an associated god who is kind of donating some of its power to excuse me, to the Momoto to use? We don't really know. Seems to be what's happening with Patty spells in this chapter. Seems to be what's happening with Zatch's spells. We saw Weebarera Zakar be powered up the first time it was used against Hem, who I hope we see again soon. Because it had Thunder Dragon's favor, you know? So the Thunder Dragon is more judgmental than than the Water Dragon, and I think I'm seeing your ranking here. I do think the Thunder Dragon is stronger than possibly the only one he would be under is this Bamfro Naga, who the entire castle, of course, is named after, the Castle of Bamfro. And it wouldn't surprise me if Bamfro Naga has that dragon horn, the horn dragon head, that part of the castle is just this massive one. It wouldn't surprise me if that's what Bamfro Naga's head looks like. And yeah, to me, I think the Thunder Dragon, similar to how Bao was very special in the original series, the Thunder Dragon is kind of where Bao's character comes from. I think there's also some confusion over, well, how much is Bao an incarnation of the Thunder Dragon? My guess is like not really that much. The Thunder Dragon is just so powerful that like this little bit of its magic that it gave to King Dawon Bell was just powerful enough to be this like really like important thing, um uh
And I think like Sogaiku is the same. Like Sogaiku, like when these spells are summoned, the god isn't like in there looking out of its eyes. You know what I mean? That's how I see it. It's a manifestation of the god's power and image, but it is not physically. It is not like a physical manifestation of that god, like in its mind or anything like that. Um, of course, in the case of something like Shin Korea, it seems like it is. So that could change. But yeah, a lot of really interesting stuff here. Oh, come to think of it, by the way, that dude in remember Zara Fedora from Zatch Bell from the first series, Clear's canon guy? Was he a member of the Game Clan? Right? He looked like Belgamio. I love that guy. And he got imploded by Braco. He might have been the first other member of the Geem clan that we saw. You would think he would have Geem in his name, but maybe Raikou wasn't really thinking about it back then, and he did take the name from Clear Spell. And speaking of him, he was really one of the early hints at how important these kind of spell gods are, where he talks about not wanting to disgrace the name of Shin Korea. So interesting stuff there. It's related. It's all related to this. So the teleportation at the end, I think it's very important to establish, and I think Raikou made an effort to establish that Zatch is not being teleported by Belial. Because otherwise, it's like, why even fight this guy if he can teleport anything and anyone, whatever he wants? I don't think he can. I think he can teleport things that are under his direct command or that he has maybe created. He can clearly teleport and manipulate all of his cards, and he can teleport the egg. Why he didn't just have that with him, I don't really know. It doesn't really matter. Yes, Unko Titin also looks similar to Belbum. That's true. But I think that's important to know. Zatch is not going to stand a chance against Belial. We might see them do some damage to him somehow, some way. Bamfro Naga, more likely, I would say, would be the one to do damage to him. And maybe we'll see his face coming up. But he's not so powerful that he can just like manipulate, teleport, be telekinetic, with anything. Thankfully, he would have to hurt Zatch physically, I think. And presumably Zatch is a part of this plan. Is he needed to revive Bamfro Naga? Seemed that way because the dragon said he had no choice to summon him. Seems like the king maybe needs to be there to revive it. And I would guess that's what the energy orb is, right? Bamfro Naga is he's sealed. He's sealed behind the door. He's sealed inside this energy ball. He's sealed inside the force field that they had to walk through that was behind the door. There's a lot of layers to this thing. So Bamfro Naga, I think, is a very dangerous creature. If we thought, Libra was dangerous, we're going to wait until we see this thing. I think this is the most powerful thing we're going to end up seeing in either series so far. We haven't fully seen the Thunder Dragon, is why I say that. I do think the Thunder Dragon might be stronger, but we haven't really seen it. Yes, you're right. That's a good, very, very good point. That as far as we know, Zatch's friends can't go through to help. They can't cross the force field. So we don't really know what this conflict's going to look like, but it looks like Zatch does not have much of a chance with the hostages and with not having Kyo with him. But yeah, it's something to think about, Is Bamfro Naga the most powerful thing we've seen in either series so far? And if so, how crazy is that we're suddenly getting this scene after what was kind of a slightly higher intensity arc so far? We were seeing some changes, right? We were seeing not only our first genuine team battle, maybe not a first genuine team battle. The one with Jill Knows was pretty much a team battle, and what's her name helped at the end there. I should remember her name. She died. Ellaby. R.I.P. At the end there, she helped. So not only are we now seeing a full team battle, But we're seeing a battle on two fronts with Brago's side of the battle as well. And if anyone can make it through to Banfro Naga, I suppose it would be him. And he's still mostly at full power. And we know the Zebrik guy really wants to fight Brago. Maybe that's what'll happen, right? Maybe the Zebrik guy will go, you know, well, the Zebrik guy's outside of the force field. So it wouldn't really perhaps fully affect whatever's going on with Banfro Naga, but Brago could definitely save those hostages if he appears and the Zebrik guy's like, I gotta go fight this guy. Well, this is like Frieza and the Namekian Dragon, says Zatch Bell Gamer, and Belial wants something from Banfro Naga, but he's not worthy, so Gash gets whatever it is first. I feel like Belial is too smart to even leave that possibility open, that this could help Zatch in a way. It's not, if this ends up helping Zatch, which it could, that definitely could happen. It won't be just like Banfro Naga chooses Zatch, because I think Belial he wouldn't even take that chance. I think it would have to be something they wouldn't see coming. Like, for instance, if Brago has some kind of association with Banfro Naga, which I still think is possible. I think that a lot of people discounted the theory that Brago is connected to Banfro Castle after it just like wasn't said in any of these recent chapters. But it's something a lot of people thought when we first saw him approach and he was very angry about something. And then the castle has the horns, which is kind of similar to the symbol that Brago has. I still think it's possible. There's some association there. I mean, Banfro just sounds like Brago, you know? So maybe that'll be a way for this to go. That maybe Brago, is something Belial's not really considering. But I don't know. I'm very excited, I am really happy to see, something so crazy kind of happening. There's part of me that was like, I was enjoying the fight though. I wanted to see more of Day and Bast abilities, and with Bast sword splitting, whatever that does. So, excuse me. It's getting I've been streaming for a while. I'm sure we're gonna see them again. It's yet more villains that have survived their initial fight, which is cool. I kind of like that all the villains survive. You get to see them power up or turn good, or do who knows what. But I could have watched more of that. Funnily enough, like once we were in it, it was an enjoyable battle because it was already a slight difference from previous arcs. But now we're going into something which is way different. Which is just good, because one of my complaints with the series previously has been that it's formulaic. One of my minor complaints about this chapter is I would have liked to have explored Belgum's relationship with Patty's family more. How do Patty's parents think of Belgum? Did they share the same opinion of the servants? It kind of seems like they didn't from what we saw of them and him at the party and stuff. But, what happened after Patty saved Belgum from his clan? Did she give her maids a talking to saying, this is my son and he's going to be here? What happened in the intervening years if suitors did try to come and court Patty? Was Belgum an issue? Is Belgum's only problem that he's ugly, or is he genuinely kind of difficult to live with, which would kind of make it a tougher situation? It doesn't really seem that way to me. It seems like he's a pretty good house guest. Which is nice. And there's probably a lot more to say. If there's anything I forgot to mention, bring it up now, because I'm going to end the stream soon. Very cool to see the guests at the party, Layla and Victory and Kalulu. We're going to see them again at some point soon. But that's very exciting. I think I raised the volume of my mic a little bit accidentally. So there's just a lot of exciting things in this chapter for the future, and then just some really cool stuff with the water dragon, some great art as usual, happening after a really cool fight. I did predict that this arc wasn't quite over yet, and it seems like I was definitely right about that. It's possible that this Bamfro Naga stuff could be done and dusted within a chapter, but I kind of doubt that. And I think Brago still needs to have a full fight this arc as well. Um, so by the end of it, this will probably be the longest arc of the series outside of maybe the first arc, which is what, 8 or 9 chapters. Could be wrong. Might actually have only been like 5 or 6 chapters, because I feel like chapter 7 or 8 was after the one where they're eating after the fight with Gil and Wake. But this will end up being a pretty long arc. Exciting to see what the volume cover is going to be. I'm sure it'll be Patty, or maybe Belgium too. And yeah, this has been a really enjoyable arc overall, especially with this happening. I'm very happy with this chapter, and I'm looking forward to hopefully getting through 2 more chapters after this. I hope. I'd be fine with them taking a break after that, but I really hope that we can stick to the 3 months on, 1 month off kind of schedule. Now that Raikou has hopefully stuck to his kind of fixed, stress-free, reduced stress schedule. 1 chapter left to go until we have enough for the next full volume. Right. So that would be volume 7 of the series, which would be the 40th volume of the Zatch Bell franchise, which is kind of a milestone as well, like the 40th chapter. So the prediction, right. So, I predicted like maybe 10, 11 months ago that within 8 months there would be either a new anime announcement or an English manga release for either series announced. And unfortunately, that just hasn't happened. It does make me sad. And I stand by my confidence, I think it could have happened if a couple things had gone differently. It does make me wonder just why it hasn't happened. And I get a little conspiracy brain about it. I am naturally very not conspiracy brain. I actually really hate and despise conspiracies of all types. But you have to think about, there's reasoning behind things that happen. And especially seeing Raikou complain so much about censorship in Japan, and then he's even alluded to Western censorship once or twice on his Twitter, you do start to wonder if he really just doesn't want to publish Zatch Bell in the United States, because he feels that the market here is restrictive or something, which is very sad. Because we know that there are plenty of companies here who would be totally fine with publishing everything in Zatch Bell, even some of the stuff that is admittedly problematic. There are absolutely publishing houses who would want to get Zatch Bell out to the people and would be happy to publish it. Have they reached out to Raikou? We don't really know. There's no way for us to know. Zatch Bell Gamer says, I think Raikou's probably still working on the funding with all these endless merch collabs. Yes. So that is true, and there's some things that go against me thinking that. I'm not going to commit to this Raikou doesn't like the West conclusion. For instance, we've only had like 2 international publications ever since Bergden War was set up as a company. Italy and Brazil, right? Am I wrong? There's also maybe Mexico. That's still a relatively small amount for how much time it's been since they set up that company and set up a way for people to get in contact with them and publish it. What about all these other countries? What about France, who loves manga and anime? What about India? So when you think about that, it's not like America's the only country that hasn't gotten it. There's a lot of countries that haven't gotten a new manga translation yet. Countries that would have them, even if maybe some of them the manga fully finished before. And like you say, maybe the merch stuff is sort of a strategy to make money, to make capital for Bergen Board, where Raikou, who clearly loves to be very heavily involved in and connected to stuff having to do with Zatch Bell. Uh, maybe he wants to make enough money so he really can be very hands on with a new anime or what have you. So we'll keep those fingers crossed. I'm not going to make another prediction, at least not anytime soon. And I'll be very pleased if it happens. I forget if the Sanrio stuff happened yet, but that was super exciting. And Zatch Bell is still really big. And I would still just love to see it succeed. For me, there is a bit of a time element to it where I want it to happen soon. Because if we can get, especially in anime, is the thing you really want for like the popularity of Zatch Bell as a whole. What we want is an anime for that. I want a manga just to have the manga to read. And I would love an official Zatch Bell 2 release as well, despite the great work that you guys have been doing. It would just be great to have an official release to point people towards and get it out there a little more with advertising. Um, but thinking about if a Zatch Bell anime comes out or a Zatch Bell 2 anime, and that draws people towards the Zatch Bell 2 manga, there's got to be stuff still yet to happen in the Zatch Bell 2 manga to build that, for really build that hype. So I want that to happen while we still are on the other side of Wanrei, of Xeon, of of Kiddo, who's kind of popular. you know? And there's those numbers are dwindling, now with Patty and all the other characters who have come back. I want to have the anime start before those hype moments so those can get people into the manga and there can be people talking about, oh my god, you hear how good Zatch Bell 2 was this month. Because if the anime only happens after everyone's already come back, even if there's still a lot of the series left after that, there's only going to be so much to build that hype. People are just going to be able to go, Zatch Bell 2 was really good this month. And that's it. They're not going to be able to go, oh my god, you hear what happened in Zatch Bell 2? It's like, well, they get that doesn't mean anything to people who are casual. You know what I mean? So that's why there's a bit of a time element to me and why I want it to happen soon. And hopefully it does. But for now, I will keep enjoying Zatch Bell 2. Great chapter this month. Excited for next month's. Yeah, Konjiki no Gacha Belgum. Who'd have thought? There's a lot of bells. Belgum, Belial. But we gotta leave it there. My voice is just getting way too tired and messed up from this. I'm gonna go watch House of the Dragon. Thanks to everyone who watched. If you are watching this later, please leave a comment and I will read and respond. And I'd ask you to check out my recent video I posted on the video game Gen Atlas, the upcoming Fumito Ueda video game. Along with Zatch Bell, Fumito Ueda and his games are one of the very few things that I do feel like I have a knowledge level of that is above a lot of other people and where my opinions are somewhat new and probably haven't been said by other people online. So, I mean, you might not have any interest in that sort of thing, but that was a video that I made recently. And yeah, thanks to anyone who tuned in, who does tune in the future. And see y'all next time. Bye.